Hey guys, welcome back to another Olympus discussion video. I am Dazzling Kate, and today we will be talking about Persephone as a Mary Sue, okay? We have to get straight to it. I'm sick and tired of hearing people defend the shit out of Persephone. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be mean, but oh my goodness, it's just one thing after another with this character that drives me nuts. Now, I will try my best not to be too harsh, but it's very difficult for me to do so. Persephone recently is more and more Mary Sue. She's more desired by everyone around her. She's so beautiful, blah blah blah. She's perfect, she's super nice. Where's the weaknesses? Oh, right, yeah. She did a, act of wrath, and you can blame Eris for that one. Because it's not Persephone's fault. Because, Eris did it. Guys, Eris did it. Go away with that bullshit, okay? Go away with that. Because I want to honestly see this character develop better, but it's like every new season, she just gets worse and worse with, growing as a character. And unfortunately, her main rival from season 1, Menthe, she's developed better as a character than Persephone. Tell me, how does that make sense? That, the person we're supposed to hate has more development, has more characteristics and personality traits we can all relate to. But Persephone, it's like you basically have her assault as one of those objects in her character that is used constantly to make us feel sorry for her. And I'm not saying it should have happened, hell no. But it's just one of those excuse factors that I see used a lot. And I mean a lot. I'm not trying to say the event itself, is okay. I'm trying to say that either she's, defined by that, or she's defined by her, shipping with Hades. Anything else outside of that, it's like a lack of. There is a lack of that characterization in, Persephone when she's not with Hades, when she's, when the assault incident happened. There's really a lack of character for her, and it shows. Now, a person did tell me that Persephone is a self-insert for Rachel, the person behind this webtoon, and I'm not going to talk about it in this video because I feel like in that topic itself, it's its own video, it's its own thing. I can talk about that in a different video, so I will not be mentioning that, Persephone is a Mary Sue because she's an self-insert for the creator Rachel, because I don't have time for that bullshit right now. I mean, it's interesting because everyone was giving me evidence of that, so I'll definitely come back for that. But for now, we're going to be tackling on why is Persephone a Mary Sue, what could have been better written, blah blah blah. Let's begin. So, as you all who have read Lore Olympus and its stories, you just grow closer and closer to what you're supposed to grow close to, which is Persephone. And Persephone is just basically a character that people are just supposed to follow because she's the main character. It feels almost like her entire personality, it's not fun. It's not fun, okay? It's a basic Mary Sue character. And then you have all the other female goddesses and nymphs and, humans even, who have better personalities and, problems than Persephone. And I'm not saying what happened to her, is purposeful. It's it was supposed to be good. No. I'm basically saying she's only defined by either that or her being with Hades. Those are the only two factors that a lot of people just care about. And yeah, it makes sense, but it's like Persephone's personality and character outside of those two things, it's just, basic Mary Sue traits that you see in a character. Am I saying every writer is perfect? No. But it's kind of weird that the character Persephone has a lack of character. Meanwhile, background characters like Hera or, Minthe, I can't even remember the one woman who was with Eros. Those characters have much more better personalities and characters than Persephone does. Persephone is just every, the basic princess personality you get from those fan fictions. Like, they're so nice, they're willing to do things for people, and, she's, super nice, beautiful, and nothing else could be wrong. She's also super smart. What's there to relate with? And I know these are gods and goddesses, and we shouldn't have the ability to relate to them, but when you put them in a setting like this, you have to at least try and give them a personality of some kind to, compensate for the whole setting. Like, it's easier to, relate to Hera. It's easy to relate to Menthe. It's easy for that to happen. But Persephone, yes, those two defining moments, whether it's her assault or it's, with Hades, being with Hades, people don't really seem to be intrigued by her character, and especially how she's grown over the past couple of seasons. It just kind of feels like an insult. Like, what the fuck? What the fuck? In the beginning, it seemed to be going fine, but I feel like over time, she starts to, her main focus is Hades, 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 Hades. And I get it, you've never had a boyfriend, girl, but please, do you have anything else to contribute to this? Come on. Please. But no. No, we can't have that now, can we? Anyways, it's just really odd that every time there's a big arc for her character, it always seems to work out with her. It always seems to work out for her, and there's no consequences. Literally no consequences. And don't be bringing up that bullshit of the court at the end. Oh, it's 10 fucking years. It's a walk in the park for these gods, okay? It's 10 years. If it was 100 years, then I can understand that, or even 1,000 years. They don't make it seem like, oh wow, we can totally do this now. What the hell? It's just so hard to say. It's what the hell? Why can't you give us a consequence that lasts? Her act of wrath, basically, getting 10 years was a slap on the wrist. That was so freaking simple, and it's so freaking annoying how it went. She acts as if it's 10 years is super long, and I know she hasn't lived that long as a goddess, but it's so freaking weird that you have a character like this who's just whatever, I'll just do what I want because I'm a badass bitch. And don't even get me started with the season 2 finale with oh my god, Persephone gets all in Titan mode and kicks Kronos' ass. What? See, that's not really character growth. That's everything seems to be going on good with this character, and there's no consequence, there's no weak moments. That, that fight with Kronos should have lasted for at least 10 episodes or more. When you have something like this, and I know people like to rush, and yeah, sometimes I want things to be rushed too, but when you have a big character like Kronos finally being released, you want to make sure at least it lasts, the fight doesn't, like, take seconds to be, under 10 minutes to beat. You don't want the freaking weakest character, aka Persephone. Oh, but she's a, she's a, like, she's, what do they call them? Fertility goddess. Like, what the fuck? Who cares? Who cares? That's the one thing I never really understood. Let me be real. And how could she just automatically kick Kronos' ass? Like, that fight should have been several chapters long. Like, there's anime, well, not anime, mangas out there. Those fights with the big baddie, the big person you're pushing up to be the main bad guy, like, well, not the main bad guy, but a bad guy in general, you have in the background who's constantly being spoken about. What if this were to happen? And then it does, and it didn't feel like, he was actually threatening. It's like, oh, Persephone can beat him. Anyone can beat him. Anyone can beat him, okay? So if Persephone can do it, then he could do it. Like, anyone could do it. Like, holy shit. Are you kidding me? I know I'm still disappointed by that fight. It should have been many chapters long, and don't even get me started with how, Hades should have been the one to step up to him. Someone he was fearful of. But no, it was Persephone. Okay. I want to say that there's positives about Persephone, but I can't. At the very beginning, there might have been something there, but now it's just like, you have all the cliches wrapped in a bow, okay? You have all that in a bow. There's nothing redeeming about Persephone. Like, the only characters I really read for Lore Olympus now is Menthe and the other characters. Like, I don't give a shit about what happens to Persephone. Like, honestly, it's kind of like, who the fuck cares? Who the fuck cares? I don't care. I don't give a shit. I don't care. She's annoying as hell. Like, this is, throughout the entire series, I can tell you, like, when I first started reading this, I really enjoyed the story, and then over time, Persephone started to get annoying personality-wise, and it was just like, okay, first of all, just do it, and second of all, quit stalling, and third of all, why should I care now? You're being annoying. Like, you're a crybaby. You're an annoying asshole. Like, I'm sorry for those, like, who feel like, oh, I'm shitting on Persephone too much. I'm sorry, but Persephone's character doesn't have that many flaws, and even when she does, like, the wrath of, like, the wrath that she pulled off, like, her act of wrath, even then, it's blame on fucking Eris. Like, oh, it's her fault. Like, what? No! You shouldn't have her be, like, Eris be blamed. Yes, she is a very chaotic goddess, but I honestly think the whole way that, oh, she's got this lingering feeling that she got from Eris, who blessed her with that act of wrath of, like, personality-wise, blah, 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 blah. It doesn't really make her character all that better. It's just, it's terrible, actually. Honestly, it's, with these characters, there's a lot I could really say. Their dynamic with Persephone is just annoying as hell. She's supposed to be seen as this innocent, naive figure, and yeah, she is, and she has that lingering feeling of wanting to do something bad. Blah, 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 blah. It feels so fucking basic, like, so bad. So bad. Can she be redeemed in season 3? Maybe. I don't know. I usually just wait a couple of weeks before I reread any, like, go back and read any new stuff from Lore Olympus, but it's like not on my to-do list. There's a lot of other fun stories out there that have better protagonists that don't make me feel like bashing my head against the wall because of how annoying their questioning is in this chapter. Like, and you know when you're just so annoyed with how the character's acting, like, oh my god, what if I told blah 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 this? But I can't. I'm so like I'm so innocent and sweet. I can't tell him that, and it lasts this entire freaking seasons. Like, seriously, Persephone, please do us all a favor. Do us all a fucking favor and just get the fuck over it with how you tell people things. Like, it shouldn't take that fucking long. And yeah, I don't really think Persephone has much there to really say, oh, I'm a great character. Like, she hasn't really done anything other than relate to, connect and relate with Hades. And even then, it always feels like Hades can't be smarter than her in some ways. I get it. But she's like a young goddess and he's an older god. So it's kind of weird that he's just like, oh, well, I can't, here's this or that, whatever. But yeah, is there anything redeeming about her character? No. At the very beginning, I feel like it could have gone much better. Like, it was as good as it's gonna get, and then over time, I started to dislike Persephone, and it's just, this is what happens when you have someone who doesn't know how to write a good protagonist. Like, everyone else, like, surprisingly, Rachel focuses on them so well, like Hera and Menthe. They have good personalities and good stories that they're trying to tell. Persephone just feels like a forced story. Like, let's all focus on the boring girl. Like, what the fuck? Again, I'm not trying to be mean, and I'm not trying to say anything that's happened to Persephone was well deserved. Hell no. But I do think that when it comes to planning out these stories with, like, characters like this, especially when you're trying to do a Greek mythology sort of, like, modern story, I would say, it's an interesting concept. It's one of the best concepts Rachel came up with, and that's why I loved reading Lore Olympus. It's just Persephone is a character I could give two shits less about now because her personality sucks in this. It's just like, it's so venomously sweet that you just want to puke. That's how bad her personality is. It feels so forced and not, like, given a chance to develop. And it's one thing if you're trying to have a clashing personality show. Since Persephone did do that act of wrath, I would want her to, feel something from that. A much more, like, why did I do it? Like, those conflicting feelings of regret and guilt. And even then, it's just like, I guess it's hard for Rachel to, like, really develop Persephone, but then you have all these other characters like Menthe getting, like, a character development and evolution for her, like, from the first season to now. She's a much more, tolerable character. She's a much more developed character. She is a lot more written than Persephone, even, because Persephone just feels like every basic bitch you see. Oh wow, I don't like this flavor. It's like, I want one of those, like, basic bitch drinks at the, like, fucking bar, and you just walk away from that. It's not worth it. Hell, I think if they had played on, like, Persephone's character a little bit, like, let's be honest, like, let's take a look at Persephone and Hades' relationship. Hades was always tolerable of her, and I can make another video for that, but I need to mention it in this video, because he always said, oh, he won't do this, but then he goes ahead and does it anyways, because, oh, Persephone is really nice and cute and shit. What? You just said you weren't gonna do it, and then he goes ahead and does it, and then, I think, like, the group Menthe and the other two were kind of right that Hades let Persephone get away with a lot of things and even paying her, even though she was a freaking intern. It's so freaking weird that, like, Hades, like, this is the first girl you feel something for, but I'm sure there must have been a couple of other women you felt about that made you feel like this. It feels so weird to me that, like, in this story, he's just doing it because, she's cute and sweet. And, come on, dude. Come on. Like, it's so strange. Like, I feel like there could have been some more development there, and maybe having Persephone show some of that malice in earlier seasons, like much more earlier outside of, the act of wrath, maybe I could have excused a lot of those moments. Like, if she had, moments of malice where yeah, there's probably going to be someone, but this chapter, that chapter, I know, but if she was doing things more on purpose with those intents, acting like a bitch, being an asshole to people, and, it's part of that, personality trait that Eris gave her, then I can kind of see why this would be problematic. But she's so annoyingly sweet that, it doesn't show up that often. It just is her own thoughts in her own mind. But it's just like, if she was having a conflicting personality disorder because of Eris, then I could probably see some of this being, reasonably done. But it's just like, no, she's still annoyingly sweet and all this other shit. And it doesn't make much sense to me. Like, why even add that, like, personality trait, like the feeling of wrath and wanting that and stuff in her? Why even add that? What's the point of it? Because if it's only for that one act of wrath and not for anything else, I don't understand. But yeah, had they done that in much earlier seasons and had her, manipulate Hades and... Oh, but it needs to be a true love story. No, it doesn't necessarily need to be that. But had they actually done something with the characters and made her more, developed, like, if they had given her more things other than what they were trying to push her into, it's all these activities, like, first you have the situation with Artemis, who's fucking clueless, and we will get to that in another episode. And then, the whole thing with Artemis and Apollo in her life, and then, like, the goddesses of the maidenhood. You have all these different things going on, and it doesn't make things better when the characters react so nicely to Persephone. Like, you would see in these, like, simple-ass shows where everyone loves the main character because she's so beautiful and she's so nice, and there's nothing really to her other than being, like, so sweet and nice. And why can't we make her more on the human side as, like, Menthe? Like, there has been moments, Hera has those moments of, like, being weak. I mean, she's even gone as far as to, like, in the past, cheat on her husband with Hades. You have all these different things that go on, but Persephone is just, like, so sickeningly sweet, and I just can't stand it. I just can't. That's why Persephone's that, like, Mary Sue. Everything comes easy for her. She's like, there's always a terrible couple of things that happen to her, but then you wrap it up with, like, oh, she's super nice, and then all these other good things happen to her, like falling in love with Hades, who's a rich god, and then you have, like, her falling in love with, well, not falling in love with, then you have her, like, getting a lot of attention from the other gods, and, like, it's just like, what the fuck? There's so much there. Why? It doesn't make much sense. But yeah, guys, that's all I really have to say about this. It's kind of weird to really think about this. Like, there could have been some stuff to go more into, but it feels like every time they just like shove Persephone into like activities, like whether it's that work, being an intern for Hades, going to school. I feel like they're trying to like throw this character with lack of personality into these scenarios and basically not having a clue where to really go with her character. It's like you just put the character in there and don't think of the personality, you don't think of how she acts. It's just that, like, she's a blank space, not really sure what they're doing with her, and it's just that, a blank space. Like, you don't really have anything there. You just have a character you can just easily put yourself into and act like that character, if that makes sense. I guess it's easy for people to do that. They put themselves in Persephone's shoes and, you know, get attracted by all these different guys around her. Blah, 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 blah. But does it make her a Mary Sue? Yes, it does. There's a lack of problems. There's a lack of personality. And, you know, whenever she acts, like, you know, reacts to something, it either is annoyingly sweet or she's super freaking pissed off. There's a mixture of all these different things I feel like make her a Mary Sue. Everything comes easy for her with, like, Hades, her job, and, you know, the way people react to her. She's, like, incredibly beautiful and shit, and, like, basically that. Anyways, guys, that is it for this video. I don't know what else to say other than I'm like, whatever. Whatever. She's a Mary Sue. Hopefully, if the show comes out, hopefully they change up her personality or add something to it, because the comic Persephone is just Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you are new here, please hit that subscribe button. It would mean the world to me. Stay safe, stay cool or warm if you're freezing your ass off, and stay hydrated. This is Dazzling Kate, signing the hell out of here.